Hello, everybody. Every now and then, I share notes about the countries that I have been. So the idea is each country that I have been, and so far I've been to 106 countries, I speak a little bit about that country. The first video I did was more than a month ago, was about Vietnam. So you can go back to my channel and see my notes on Vietnam. Usually I speak about my experiences, what I have done, what were the things that I liked, what were the things that I did not like, and some small tips. And the next country that I'm going to speak about is going to be Cambodia. Because what I did was I went down till Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, and then I took a bus to the capital of Cambodia, Phnom Penh. Unlike Vietnam, I have been to Cambodia before. I've been to Cambodia around 2012. So this wasn't my first time. But right now, being 2024, it has been more than 12 years that I've been there the last time. So obviously my memories are a bit foggy. I do remember basic stuff, obviously, but not every small detail. And also I'm a different person now. I'm more mature right now. I'm 37. I was around 25 when I was in Cambodia. So the way I see things, the way I look at things are also different. And I've been to Vietnam way longer than I was in Cambodia. I was in Vietnam for more than a month, but in Cambodia, I was there only for a week, also because of the reason that I've been there before. So for these reasons, my video on Cambodia is going to be shorter. And while I speak, sometimes you'll see me looking down, and this means I'm looking at my notes because I want to share everything that are in my notes. So I'm not just speaking from my memory, but I'm also looking at my notes while I'm speaking with you. But I'm going to be mindful of looking at the camera in general. And right now I'm using my computer's webcam, which is a pretty good webcam for this. So the production is not insanely great, but I think this will do the work with my microphone and with this Nextgo camera. So the first thing that I can say about Cambodia is it is extremely touristy. The capital doesn't feel that much so, but still it is quite touristy, especially Siem Reap, where Angkor Wat resides. It is extremely touristy. The difference between two cities is in Phnom Penh, you can walk around and nobody would bother you, apart from a couple of tuk-tuk drivers that would stop and ask if you want to ride, but they wouldn't insist. But in Siem Reap, when you walk around in the tourist areas, it is quite pesky. It is quite annoying. Like people would insist on you to take their tuk-tuk, go to their restaurant. Some girls try to even like pull me and manhandle me, probably for massage or even prostitution. So these things are the things obviously a traveler like me doesn't like. So I don't enjoy very touristy places. I do understand that also I am a foreigner. So if I'm there, it means probably other foreigners will be there as well. And I cannot complain as a tourist that the place is touristy. But I think there's a certain level that I can tolerate a place being touristy. So if the place is full of tourists and everything is catered to tourists, then that is something that I don't like. And especially Siem Reap was like that. So even though it's a beautiful city, extremely touristy for my taste. And people try to sell you stuff. And most of the time in Asia and Southeast Asia, even if somebody approaches you or tries to sell you or tries to invite you to their shop, when you say no, they don't ask for a second time. But in Siem Reap especially, that wasn't the case. They don't take no. Again, like some ladies were trying to pull me, like enter my arm, hold my arm, and some shop owners or tuk-tuk drivers asking like a couple of times, even though I said no a couple of times. So sometimes you have to be quite also staunch and strict with them. At some point they go, but it is annoying. The worst experience I had in any country I've been was in India. In India, they're way more pesky, but Cambodia is not great neither, especially Siem Reap. But it is a cheap country, so obviously there are a lot of touristy options, and the prices there are very similar to the one that are in US or any Western country, any expensive Western country. But if you find a local place, then you can eat for quite cheap. Like I usually by default, I prefer local places because the food is tastier. The customers are locals, so they have to upkeep the quality. So I go to local places a lot, and also them being cheap is a perk. So even in Siem Reap, the tourist area, I found local places where I could eat like $2, $3, $4 US dollars, which is extremely cheap for any country. So I really enjoyed that, but I also checked the menus of some tourist restaurants, and they could go up to 10, 15, even $20. I do like to treat myself every now and then to a good restaurant, but for me, expensive doesn't mean better. I enjoy these local restaurants much more than those fancy burger places that are only catered for Western people. Accommodation is also cheap. Even in Siem Reap, I managed to find a small guest house for around $6, $7. Again, they're expensive, way more expensive options, but you don't also you don't have to stay in a hostel to get the cheapest option. Like in Phnom Penh, I've stayed at a hostel because I've been to the same hostel more the last time I was there, and I think I paid around like $5, $6, which is a bit more expensive than the usual pricing because I also seen hostels that cost around $3, $4. But in Siem Reap, I had my private room, which was great, and I paid around $7 to $8 per day. The only downside on this, when I entered, they have a lot of tours and they try to sell the tours in the hostels, in the places that you stay. And they're a bit pushy about this as well. Like in the place I stayed, like the receptions were very good, but there was one guy, I think he was in charge of the tours. So he was like a taxi driver as well, tuk-tuk driver. And like every time he saw me, he kept asking if I want a tour, if I want a tour. So it got a little annoying at some point. And once I took one of his tours to a floating village, and then it wasn't a tour actually. He just drove me there like 30, 40 minutes and drove me back and waited for me. And he charged me $20 for it, which I think it's very expensive. And I had to pay for the boat ticket myself. So the communication wasn't great on that. So I wasn't happy on that. But the accommodation, even though it was quite basic, like the walls were a bit yellowish and all, but everything was clean, no cockroaches, nothing. I was there. I was planning to stay there 2 nights. I ended up staying 4 nights because it was cheap and it was pretty good and it was very central as well. Cambodia doesn't have great infrastructure. Usually they take metros around, buses around the country between the cities and in the city. But also the last time I was there, there were no apps like that. But now they have these ride-hauling apps as well. I think I forget the names, but when you write like apps to haul rides in Cambodia, you'll see a couple of them. There are like 2, 3 good ones, and you can just call a tuk-tuk, and the price is quite good. Like for 10 minutes, you pay like $1. So usually I like to walk, but when it was too hot or if it was a bit too far away, I used the app to call for a tuk-tuk, and I paid only a couple of dollars depending on where I'm going. And the last time I was there, one of the things that I noticed was like they had their own currency, Cambodian reals. This was in 2012. But if you're a tourist, they expect you to pay in US dollars. They expected that. Now you can also pay in US dollars, but the Cambodian real is way more common. So when they charge you, they always say it with their own currency. Back then, they were like, this is $3, this is $5. But now they say this is this much Cambodian reals, which I enjoyed because I don't want to carry US dollars, or you also are in a disadvantage when you pay in US dollars and they change it back in the local currency. So I enjoyed withdrawing local currency with my ATM and paying in local currency as well. So now the Cambodian real is much more commonly used and probably way more stronger than it was 12 years ago. One of the things that I was possibly surprised about Cambodia was that they had good connection, good internet. So because I did not always have that in some of the lesser developed Southeast Asia countries or Asian countries that I've been to, but Cambodia has good internet. And as a digital nomad, this is very important for me. So that was one thing that I enjoyed in Cambodia as well. So yeah, this is more or less my impressions about Cambodia. I was there only for a week after 12 years, so I don't have like a lot of data. I was only in Phnom Penh and Siem Reap. I enjoy it. People are nice. The salespeople, people who are in the shops are a bit pesky. You can find quite good prices if you know where to do your research. When you ask for locals, people are helpful, and I enjoyed my time. I would have preferred to go there at a cooler time temperature-wise as well. I was there around June, I guess. So I would love to go back again and this time discover some other cities of Cambodia because I did enjoy my time, and I'm sure that if I'm going to go next time, I'm going to enjoy it more. And one more bonus information, which I heard from a friend and I also experienced myself, the very famous Angkor Wat in Siem Reap in Cambodia. The entrance is around $30. And if you take a tour, blah, 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 it would go up to $40, $50. My friend, before I went to Cambodia, who had been to Cambodia before, he told me that I could enter Angkor Wat for free after 5:30 p.m. And since this was my second time, the first time I paid and entered through the day with a tuk-tuk, this time I just called a cab, a tuk-tuk, took me there, I was there at 5:30, even though the ticket people asked if I have a ticket. I said it's 5:30. After this, it's supposed to be free. They let me in. So I entered Angkor Wat for free after 5:30. Obviously, it starts getting dark around 7:30. So if you want to take your time, this is not a viable option. But if you have seen it before, or if you're okay with rushing around a little bit and not entering every single point in the whole facility, then you can enter Angkor Wat after 5:30 and enjoy it till 7:30. In my case, I entered the site of Angkor Wat and saw it in general. I couldn't go to the very inside part of it because a part was sealed, shut down. And I also managed to enjoy the sunset, or it was cloudy, so I didn't see sunset per se, but at least was there on time to enjoy the sunset on one of the famous and popular hills. So I really enjoyed that. So that's also a little extra knowledge. So these are my notes. If I have missed something, apologies, but feel free to ask in the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer. So as a digital nomad who likes to travel all around the world, I like to share my experiences, and I'm going to keep making these videos to give a brief overview of the countries that I have been to. So thank you very much. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Take care and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.